The origins of a legend, childhood, and the first choice, 1977, 1994, the 27th of June 1977. Madrid. A city where soccer is not just a game, it's a way of life. This is where a boy was born who would one day become the face of an era. His name is Raúl González Blanco. He grew up in a working-class family. No expensive cleats, no private coaches, no special privileges. What he had instead was something money can't buy: character. His father worked as an electrician and loved soccer. Their home wasn't filled with luxury, but with rules, discipline, respect, hard work. Those values shaped Raúl long before fame ever found him. On the streets of Madrid, young Raúl played for hours. Asphalt, concrete, scraped knees. A ball that never felt heavy. He wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the strongest, but even then, he had a rare gift. He saw the game 1 second before everyone else. And crossed a jar. The first test. Atletico Madrid's academy. Scouts from Atletico Madrid noticed his talent. For a young boy, it felt like a dream come true. Real training, a real club, real competition. At the academy, Raúl scored at an unbelievable rate. In one youth season, over 60 goals. But coaches said something telling: he won't beat you with strength. He'll beat you with decisions. Raúl didn't play with power. He played with intelligence. Always in the right place. Always one step ahead. Even then, he wasn't just a striker. He was a thinker on the field. And crossed a jar. 1992. The day everything nearly ended. Soccer can be ruthless. In 1992, Atletico Madrid made a devastating decision. They shut down their youth academy. Dozens of young players were left with nothing. No club, no future, no explanation. For 15-year-old Raúl, it was a crushing blow. The dream could have ended before it ever began. And then fate intervened. Ino is really blog. The call that changed everything. A phone call, a tryout invitation. A name that sounds mythical to any kid in Madrid. Real Madrid. For many, it would have been overwhelming pressure. For Raúl, it was a challenge. He arrived at La Fábrica and immediately did what he always did: score goals and lead by example. Coaches were stunned by his maturity. He didn't need things explained twice. He read the game like a veteran. Even in the youth teams, people said Raúl played as if the result depended on him. He didn't shout. He showed the way. Ino is really time. 17 years old. No fear. The 29th of October 1994, Santiago Bernabéu Stadium. A sold-out crowd. Raúl is just 17. When he steps onto the field for Real Madrid's first team, there is no fear in his eyes. No hesitation. No doubt. He moves as if he has always belonged there. No theatrics. No flashy gestures. Just soccer. In that moment, no one knew they were watching a future captain. A symbol. A legend. But the story had already begun. And this was only the beginning. Ino is really blog. Growing up at Real Madrid, a kid forced to mature. 1994, 2000, mid-1990s. Real Madrid is struggling, a club rich in history and trophies, but searching for a new identity. They didn't just need a goal scorer, they needed a leader. And unexpectedly, that leader became a 17-year-old kid from Madrid, Emi Med. He didn't wait for his chance, he took it. Raúl didn't slowly ease into the lineup, he broke straight into it. While other young players played it safe, Raúl demanded the ball in the hardest moments. He appeared where defenders relaxed. One touch, one movement, one finish. Goal. His game wasn't explosive. It was inevitable. It always felt like he knew where the ball would land before anyone else. The Bernabéu crowd fell in love instantly, because he was one of them. A Madrid kid. Real. Authentic. Ifez. A cold mind in a young body. His greatest weapons. Elite positional awareness is not how. Ice-cold composure in front of goal. Soccer intelligence far beyond his age. Raúl rarely shot blindly. He punished mistakes with precision. His goals weren't about power, they were about logic. Not chaos, but order. At just 19, he became the team's top scorer. Not because of a famous name, but because he accepted responsibility. I include the celebration that became a symbol. After every goal, the same gesture, a kiss to his wedding ring. It wasn't a show. It was a message. Family over fame. Stability over temptation. Values over headlines. At a time when players were becoming celebrities, Raúl stayed grounded and principled. Facts that go beyond stats. Rarely received yellow or red cards, he played clean and smart arms. Never hid in big matches, even in defeat. He was one of the first to face the fans. I include 1998. The moment, 32 years in the making. The 1998 UEFA Champions League final. For Real Madrid, it wasn't just a match, it was an obsession. The club hadn't won Europe's biggest trophy in 32 years. Raúl became one of the faces of that breakthrough. His goals, movement, and off-ball work formed the foundation of victory. Real Madrid was back on top of Europe. Raúl was still young, but already essential. Tour 2000. Proof? Not promise. 2 years later, another final. Another victory. 2 Champions League titles in 3 years. Raúl was no longer just a talent. He was the locker room leader. Players listened to him, followed him, trusted him. He didn't yell, he led. By 23 years old, Raúl had conquered Europe twice, become the face of the club, turned into Real Madrid's moral compass. He was no longer just a striker. He was a symbol of rebirth. A kid who grew up too fast and became great because of it. A greatness at Real Madrid. When Raúl became a legend, 2010. This is the heart of the story. The era when a player stops being just a player and becomes immortal. The Galacticos era. Early 2000s. A new phenomenon shakes world soccer, the Galacticos. Superstars arrive. Zinedine Zidane, Luis Figo, Ronaldo, David Beckham. Names that sold out stadiums before kickoff. Marketing. Cameras, contracts, headlines. But in the locker room, on the field, in the decisive moments, the soul of Real Madrid was still Raúl. I was a captain, by essence, not status. When Raúl received the captain's armband, it wasn't symbolic. It was recognition. He was the conscience of the team. First to arrive at training, last to leave. He spoke little, but when he spoke, everyone listened. He bridged eras. From the romantic Real Madrid of the 90s to the superstar empire of the 2000s, he kept balance when ego and fame threatened to tear the team apart. Numbers that can't be erased. Raúl's legacy at Real Madrid isn't just statistics. It's a monument. 741 appearances, 323 goals club record when he left, 6 La Liga titles, 3 Champions League trophies. Long-time all-time top scorer in Champions League history, every goal meant pressure. Responsibility. The moment. I have food? Not perfect. Inevitable. Raúl was never the fastest, the strongest the most powerful shooter. But he was always where he needed to be. His goals were one touch, cold calculation, decisive minutes, maximum psychological pressure. When others hesitated, Raúl finished. I have fear. The moment that became iconic. Camp Nou. Silence after the goal. Raúl puts a finger to his lips. Not a scream, not a provocation. Control, calm, authority. A gesture forever etched into El Clásico history. Because it wasn't done by a provocateur, it was done by a legend. I have one fact that says everything. In 16 years with Real Madrid's first team, Raúl never received a single red card. Not one. He played fair. He played smart. He played to the end. In a sport driven by emotion, that's almost impossible. Raúl was the exception. 2010. A quiet goodbye. Time moves on. New coaches, new ideas, a new generation. In 2010, Raúl leaves Real Madrid. No scandals, no ultimatums, no drama. He simply walks away, quietly, with dignity, just as he played the game. He didn't just leave a club, he left part of himself on the grass of the Bernabeu. Raúl left Real Madrid, but Real Madrid never left Raúl. I have fear. Life after Real Madrid And after playing 2010, present, legends don't disappear. They evolve. Raúl didn't try to prove he was still a star. Is one of this confused? He didn't run from soccer. He moved to a different level of influence. Germany, Schalke 04. Many doubted the move. New league, new language, new culture. Same result. Raúl quickly became a locker room leader, a captain, a fan favorite. He scored crucial goals and carried the team in its hardest moments. Champions League won more mark on history. With Schalke, Raúl reached the 2010-11 Champions League semi-finals. A historic achievement. And then the most emotional moment. Raúl scored against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. He didn't celebrate, didn't raise his arms. Just a brief look. It wasn't just a goal. It was respect for the home that raised him. The Bernabeu applauded, because some legends are bigger than colors. Not for fame for meaning. After Europe, Raúl didn't chase hype. Qatar Al-Sadd, mentor, professional, teacher of respect. United States, New York, Cosmos, a symbolic ending, a historic club, a quiet farewell. No show, no tour, just dignity. Coming home, coach, not celebrity. No TV studios, no scandals, no hot take shows. Raúl returned home. He took charge of Real Madrid Castilla. His mission? Develop young players, build character, teach them to think the game, not just run. No shouting from the sideline, no ego. Teaching by example, training, discipline, respect, intelligence, the same values that began his journey. Raúl today more than soccer, he is a symbol of loyalty, a model of professionalism, a bridge between generations. In a world where legends fade into noise, Raúl remains a quiet compass, not a poster icon, but a standard. Well, final monologue. This wasn't just a career, it was a saga. A kid from Madrid, a captain, a legend, a teacher. Raúl González Blanco is not just a name on a score sheet, not just numbers in a database, and definitely not just a memory. Raúl is character, forged in silent training grounds. He is an era that didn't shout. It spoke through the game. In a world where legends are measured in likes, where greatness is confused with noise, where stars are built by headlines, he remained a quiet leader. He didn't need permission to be great. He didn't need scandals. He didn't need theatrics. He stepped onto the field and made a difference. He didn't chase Ballon d'Ors. He chased moments. The moment the ball ends up where it belongs. The moment the stadium holds its breath. The moment pressure is absolute. And in those moments, Raúl was always there. He proved that greatness isn't hype. It isn't status. Greatness is loyalty to one club. Consistency through the hardest years. Calming chaos. Respect, even for rivals well. It's a kiss to the wedding ring. Silence at Camp Nou. Applause at the Bernabeu. When a legend scores and doesn't celebrate. Raúl was never perfect, but he was always real. That's why he isn't remembered as a star. But as a benchmark, years pass, generations change, stadiums evolve, the game gets faster, louder, more aggressive. But as long as soccer exists, as long as honor, loyalty, and love for the game still matter, the name Raúl will always stand as a synonym for a true legend, quiet, great, eternal,